I've avoided talking about this Jada Pinkett Smith situation because I like to get messy, but contrary to popular belief, I actually value the sanctity of marriage. And whatever 15 or 20,000 views that I may get from making a video about her isn't really worth the negative impact that my videos may have on their marriage. So I just try to avoid it. Right? So when she came on the internet and did an interview, essentially blaming Will Smith and throwing him under the bus for slapping Chris Rock on her behalf, I ignored it.
I did that eye roll, not so much for me, and I think this is really important, but the fact that there could be a jab at alopecia.
Will then went on a profane tirade warning Chris not to mention his wife's name. Jada couldn't believe what she was hearing.
What is going on? Now, first of all, I'm really shocked because, mind you, I'm not there. We haven't called each other husband and wife in a long time. I'm like, what is going on right now?
Keep my wife's name
out of your mouth, right? And I'm like, but now I'm really worried for Will because I don't know what's going on.
What viewers did not see at the time, while Oscar clips were being shown, was Chris Rock leaning over the stage to talk to Jada.
And Chris looks to me and he says, Jada, I meant no harm. Now, I'm just out of it because I'm really worried about
And
Will.
what's Will doing? He's just sitting there?
And Will's still talking. He's like, because now he's mad because Chris is talking to me. And I go, Chris, this is about some old shit. That's all I could think to say, right? And I couldn't really take in his apology.
That man slapped Chris Rock after you rolled your eyes at Chris Rock making a joke about you. And Will Smith lost a lot behind that. He lost some deals, right? He's banned from the Academy. But now you're doing interviews and saying he didn't do that because of me. He did that to serve his own ego. What kind of wife are you? I could have made a 10-minute think piece about that, but I ignored it. And when she went on various other podcasts and talked about how her and Tupac were soulmates, even though she's still currently married to Will Smith.
I think this kind of romanticized idea of like a soulmate, you know, there's all kinds of definitions of soulmate. But you know, definitely. I don't think if there is such a thing as past lives, I definitely think Pac and I have traveled a few together, you know, in various forms. So
has there ever been a time that you regretted the decision that you made not to take it to that level with him and to keep it in the friendship space?
It just wasn't possible. There was no chemistry between us. You know, I talk about it in the book. You know,
that's so hard. I know, but that's just so hard to imagine. Because at the time, he was he was in a space where, you know, he was in jail and all that, but it's just hard to believe we see chemistry with the two of you guys, even in the videos you guys dance, and there seems to be so much chemistry. But from your perspective,
chemistry, it's that friendship, love chemistry.
But I ignored it, and I still ignored it after the fact when she went on Steven Jackson's and Matt Bourne's podcast and told a story completely contradicting to this one, where she tells a story of Tupac proposing to her after staying on this podcast that their chemistry was strictly friends and they were nothing romantic at all. So why would that man propose to you if y'all were never romantic?
A lot of people might not know, but he proposed to you while he was in jail.
I talk about this in the book when I go to see him in Rikers. He was in bad shape. And so when he asked me to get married, he was at Rikers. And I knew at that time that he needed somebody to do time with him, which I was going to do anyway. He didn't have to marry me to do time. Right? I'm here.
I see why we love you.
And then but he needed a rock. Because I promise you, he would have married me and divorced me as soon as his ass left jail. He would have.
But unfortunately, folks, I can't ignore it any longer. And I can't ignore it because apparently everything Jada Pinkett Smith is saying about Pac proposing to her on Rikers Island is cap. Now, this lady did the math for us, all right? So we don't got to. And she broke down apparently how Jada Pinkett Smith is a liar. Let's check it out.
Jada's lying, and I have the timeline to prove it. And I'm literally in the middle of moving. That's why I look raggedy. But I cannot handle these fucking lies anymore. Jada is currently on her Pay Attention to Me tour, and she is making all these wild claims, including that Tupac proposed to her while he was at Rikers. Really? The math isn't mathing, so let's take a look. Tupac was convicted of sexual assault charges on February 8th, 1995. From there, he was sent to Rikers Prison, only to be transferred less than a month later to Clinton Correctional Facility. And she specifically said she went to see him. This was not on the phone.
Book when I go to see him in Rikers, probably one of the more painful parts, seeing him there, the condition that he was in and having to leave him there.
Cool. So prior to going into Rikers, Tupac already had a girlfriend named Keisha. He proposed to Keisha, her words, in a September 2011 interview.
Now, baby girl, right? Committing and having a girlfriend in your community means something, bruh. But it don't mean a goddamn thing to these rappers, bruh. Pac having a girlfriend does not negate that Pac will be two-timing with Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm sorry.
He proposed to Keisha before he even went into prison. They were already engaged. They got married in April. And in the time that he got sentenced and was taken to prison, Keisha actually moved closer to be by him and be by the prison and saw him on a near daily basis.
When he asked me to get married, he was at Rikers.
So you're telling me that in the 3 to 4 week window that he was at Rikers, engaged to another woman who had moved closer to the prison and was there almost every day, Tupac proposed to Jada.
I hear you. The narrative that Pac was super lonely and proposed to Jada Pinkett Smith because she was the only one there for him is false. His wife was visiting the jail as frequently as possible. So I don't think that's the case, right? But nonetheless, though, we need more hard proof, though, right? For us to fully and truly say Jada Pinkett Smith is lying beyond a reasonable doubt, we need more hard evidence, bruh. You gotta come with harder proof, man.
But hey, Jess, you might be saying to yourself, Tupac wasn't known to be a one-woman man. He was no angel. Fair enough. Let's see where Jada was during February of 1995, which was, as we've already established, the only time she would have been able to see Tupac at Rikers since he was only there for less than a month. You see, Jada had already met Will Smith in 1994 on the set of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but Will Smith was married, and so nothing happened between them. But in February of 1995, Will Smith was served divorce papers by his wife. 5 days later, on February 19th, Will called Jada and said, "Are you single?" And she said, "Yep." Will said, "We're together now." Jada said, "Cool." And she immediately flew to LA. She flew so immediately that when he called her, she was in Maryland at a brand new house she bought. And she never spent a single night in her new house. That's how immediately she flew to LA.
So now she cooking. Now she's providing receipts and tangible evidence. She cooking. But what she says next really tie all of this in together, and it really confirms that Jada Pinkett Smith is a liar, right? Because the story is just implausible, damn near impossible.
Jada, when in all that time did you visit Tupac at Rikers and get this fucking proposal? And for the record, Keisha and Tupac stayed married for about 10 months. They got their marriage annulled about 4 or 5 months after Tupac was released from prison. He was bailed out by Suge Knight. It wasn't long after that that he met Kidada Jones. Kidada Jones is the daughter of legendary Quincy Jones. Kidada looks a little recognizable. You may know her sister, Rashida Jones, who played Karen on The Office. Kidada and Tupac were living together and engaged when Tupac was shot and killed. Kidada was the one that was there with him at the hospital the night he died. Kidada was handed his bloody clothes. She was the one who told him, "We all love you," before he slipped into a coma.
This all ties into this fantasy that Jada Pinkett Smith has, where she wants to be looked at as sort of like the first lady to Tupac, right? She want to be looked at as she was the closest to Tupac than most women in his life, than all women in his life, excluding his mama, when that's just not the case at all, right? Like when Pac died, Pac was living with his girl. They were real close. They were a happy couple. Jada Pinkett Smith has sort of monopolized this first lady title regarding Tupac, man. But y'all let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think, right? Do you guys think this lady is telling the truth, or you think Jada's telling the truth, right? But if you're still watching, man, click on the video somewhere on my screen to find out why the Logan Paul Dylan Dennis fight was an absolute joke. Click on this video here to find out what I'm talking about, right? I'm gonna see you guys in this video. Out of here, folks. Peace.